Hello and good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to welcome you here. Just 1 second, maybe, for the sound check. No, it's fine? Okay. So, welcome, everybody, to our European Games debate. And I'm very happy to speak to you from Berlin, from the Federal Ministry of Digital and Transport, unfortunately online again. And we are going to have a day about European Games financing today. So let's start with a little bit of explaining you what we've been doing until now. So maybe some of you will remember the European Games Debate 2020, exactly 1 year ago actually. We met here and we presented a couple of results of our research about understanding the issues and challenges in the video game industry. We spoke about public funding, publishing, private funding, and also about professionalization of studios and people in the industry. This was last year. What have we been doing this year in 2021? Well, we spent the whole year researching, analyzing, and going deeper into the subject and exploring a couple of opportunities. We had also a couple of roundtables. A couple is good. We had a lot of roundtables with very different people, with public funding bodies, with private people funding bodies, with banking, with studios from Germany, but also participants from Europe. And we've been working on this for the whole year. And we're here now today to present you the results of this. So there will be also a written study, paper written on all the researches. And we will have today a nice agenda with keynotes and panels, but I will tell you more about this a little bit later on. So today is a kind of a summary of what happened this year for us and also the opportunity for us to go deeper into some subject and to involve a lot of people to make sure that everything is, we keep on discussing on all this subject. So what are we going to do today? No, sorry, why are we doing all this? Actually, we think it's very important to identify the European and the German financiers specialized in the video game industry. There are no directory of these people right now, and we kind of started with this the last 2 years, and I think now we have a pretty good list of all the people that are interested or might maybe become interested in the video game industry. We think it's very important to speak and with this person to identify also the hurdles in financing the European video games. So I'm not speaking only of studios, I'm speaking of the whole industry, the whole ecosystem of video games. How important it is to work on these hurdles. Of course, we want to foster the discussion and the cooperation between the European video game investors. And you will see during the day that we managed to plant a couple of seeds in this direction with some of the European actors in the video game industry. Also, we want to facilitate working on solutions to improve the access to financing in Europe by building, capacity building. And ideally, our dream, and the one that know Thierry and me from Spielfabrik, it's to maintain this network and on a long term, and to have a real this conversation and also working on these issues on the long term. So this is it for my part. What are we doing today? We will have do first welcoming words just after me. Then we divided the day in 2 parts. In the morning, one keynote by a banker that is really much involved in financing video game company and has a very interesting and unusual approach to it, I would say. Then we have 2 panels in the morning, a lunch break offline. And then in the afternoon, we will come back with also a very exciting keynote from Joos van Dronen, who was the founder of Superdata Research, who has been sold to Nielsen 2 years ago, and also 2 other panels. And all this day is going to be moderated by the wonderful Per Strömbach, the head of the Swedish Association for Video Games, and I'm very happy that he's taking over this day. So this is it. Now I will be very happy to welcome Mr. Stefan Saas, who is the head of game for the Federal Ministry for Digital and Transport. And Stefan, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Odile. And to the audience, welcome to today's event on financing the video game industry. So I'm glad for the opportunity to host the European Games think tank in Berlin. Once again, in a virtual format, which makes the also intended networking aspect quite a challenge, I guess. However, I'm looking forward to an interesting program that touches upon very important issues in the European video games industry. Today's event focuses on growth of European studios, mobilizing co-funding, conditions for a funding ecosystem, and cross-border collaborations in the video game sector. If you have participated at the European Game Debate a year ago, you may notice a lot has changed in Germany on the governmental side since then. And further changes are going to happen in the next couple of months. Most notably is an organizational change within the ministry. So far, games were part of the data innovation unit, but the ministry decided to set up a unit dedicated specifically to games. The unit is called Games in Germany and intends to tackle video games with a holistic approach. The focus in the past was primarily games development funding. The idea is now to incorporate aspects like innovation, technology transfer, and benefits for society. As a first step, we developed a game strategy that sets specific strategic goals in order to foster the German games industry. The game strategy deals with topics like co-development, cross-border collaborations, attracting venture capital, and the credibility of the games industry for the banking sector. If you're interested in this strategy, I suggest our webpage where you can find an English version. I'm happy that the European Games think tank is an integral part in order to meet our above-mentioned strategic goals. The European Game think tank has conducted several roundtables, panel discussions, and interviews. The results of these events will support us in our activities and benefit not only Germany, but the European games market in general. I would like to take the opportunity to give you a heads up on further organizational changes. As you may have noticed, we have a new government in place. A notable change is the name of this ministry. We are now called Federal Ministry for Digital and Transport. Connected to the name change is a transfer of substantial digital sector responsibilities from the Ministry of Economic Affairs to the Ministry for Digital and Transport. This will lead to an entire new digital directorate parallel to the already existing one. However, the games unit will be transferred early next year to the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action. So this is a notable change. We are currently working on a smooth transition and are very optimistic that your contacts remain the same as usual. Now, I'm very much looking forward to today's event. I wish us fruitful discussions, new insights, and enlightenment in a very complex but nevertheless fascinating facet of the games industry. Thank you very much, and I'm very much looking forward to today's discussion, and I'm handing over back to Odile.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Saas, and we are looking forward to keep on working with you for Germany and for Europe. So now I'm really happy to welcome also Felix Falk, the head of the Game Association in Germany, for a couple of welcoming words also. Felix, stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Odile, and hello, everybody. It's great to be part of this event again. And to let you know, I'm Felix. I'm Managing Director of the German Game Association. We have 350 members from Astragon to ZeniMax and many more people from indies to AAA to esports and video game universities. So it's also great to see in today's agenda so many interesting speakers and so many kind colleagues from all over Europe. So yeah, it's great to be a host again in Germany for such an important event like this think tank. I think, as you know, after many years with only a few video games coming out of Germany, we are in a great development and in a great time right now. The market is growing. Last year, 32% of growth within Germany. The number of people employed by developers or publishers has grown by 8% last year. 6 of 10 people out of 10 people play today in Germany. So it's an important part of society, and the potential is seen in so many different areas. And that's also, yeah, that's a great basis for the coming years in Germany. Of course, as Mr. Zas has already mentioned, the funding for games was very important to kick off a development, which is also, of course, happening in many fields, but the funding and the very positive view of society, of economics, of other areas of economics, and also by politics was important to be able to kick off this very positive development right now. As Mr. Zas has already said, we've had very interesting last weeks and months because of the new election. And as some of you also might have noticed, is that Angela Merkel is no longer chancellor. She stood for a very important era also for us as games industry. Maybe you remember this quite iconic picture from Gamescom, where she was on stage with Super Mario and other characters of the video games industry. So that was a great era, but we are very happy that the new coalition from Social Democrats, Liberals, and Greens are the same, have the same positivity for games and see the same potential and want to do something for games. So that's part also of the coalition agreement. We are very happy that games are seen and do have some sentences, important sentences in this coalition agreement. There's one further commitment, strong commitment to the funding program. That's good. And also there's this overarching goal of strengthening Germany's overall position as a games location. So that opens the field to the already mentioned video games strategy of the government, where Mr. Zas and his team worked very hard on in the last month. And this stands for a great continuity, of the engagement of the German government for games in Germany. This, together with a very strong focus on digitization and further developments and making digitization happening in Germany much more in the coalition agreement, is a very good foundation and basis for the further developments. Our new minister, Robert Habeck, he's from the Greens, and as I can tell you, it was supposed to, as we heard, it was quite a fight, even when so many other topics are so important right now. Games was in the highest executive talks about the coalition agreement was a subject, and it was, we now are part of the Ministry for Economical Affairs, even if we know and everybody knows that games are, economics, culture, digitization, innovation. So that's also clear that other ministries and other parts of the government will take care about games and, try to find the great potentials of games in the different fields from medicine to automotive to also schools and other areas of government where games can take a great part. So thanks again for also this event and also for the great work of Mr. Zass and his team, which are really dedicated for the video games industry in Germany, and we together will push a lot forward, but this only works out if we do have strong partnerships with you and everybody in Europe, in the global video games industry. And that's very important. We had a very nice example of this when Per Stromberg, hello again, and the Swedish embassy in Berlin, we did a cooperation. And this, I think, was a very great example how and what we should do even more in the future to collaborate and have great partnerships to strengthen the whole video games industry, not only in Germany, but in Europe and worldwide. And with this, I have to thank you, and I wish you an interesting discussion and an interesting event today, and see you soon.
Thank you very much, Felix. And you speak from my heart about European cooperation, how important it is.